Hello and welcome to this collective reading. I hope you're all well. My name is Dylan and it's great to have you here. If you've been here before, then welcome back. If you haven't, then a brand new welcome. This is a timeless reading, so you'll be finding these messages whenever you're meant to find them. And I'm looking forward to seeing what wants to come through here, as I've got a strong inkling that there's something emerging, something that wants to be seen, that wants to be known. So it'd be interesting to see what kind of messages we get from the cards. We've got the Wildwood Tarot that we're going to start with, see what wants to come through first. So Two of Arrows in Justice, somewhere where we've been held back. That's what I'm picking up on. Somewhere where we've been restricted. Maybe we've found it difficult to make decisions in the past from a balanced viewpoint. This could have to do with parts of ourselves that are maybe stuck in the past, aspects of ourselves that we need to retrieve and we need to bring to the forefront. Because I feel like that's what's been stopping our progress. That's what I'm picking up on. In this deck, the Two of Arrows or Two of Swords is known as injustice. So it feels as though we may have felt that something wasn't fair, perhaps in our earlier lives, perhaps when we were younger. There's something that didn't quite add up. That's something else that's coming through. Because we wanted to take action on certain things, we wanted to be a certain thing maybe, we wanted to grow in a certain way, but there's something about us being held back, there's something about this crossed energy here, something that's been blocking us, I would say, taking us out of balance. You can see these scales here in the background, so that we haven't been able to progress in the way that we would have liked to have progressed. This feels like a very old experience. It feels like it's been happening from very early on in our lives. Also feels as though it could have been happening previously in other lifetimes. So what we're experiencing in this lifetime, the situations we've moved through in this lifetime, are echoes of something in another lifetime that we've experienced. Definitely a sense of something not being fair, us feeling that something wasn't fair, that we had an unfair disadvantage. That's interesting. Something that really did hold us back from doing what we wanted to do, from being who we wanted to be. And it's important now that we redress the balance. So these aspects of ourselves, these parts of ourselves that feel stuck, feel frustrated, feel annoyed. I just had the word embarrassed come through as well. So maybe there's some part of us that feels embarrassed that we haven't succeeded in the way that we feel that we should have succeeded. We haven't done the things that we should have done. And so I really feel like this is the time to redress that balance now, to be speaking with these aspects of ourselves, letting them know that actually you did the best you could. Now things have changed, and this is what we're going to see in the next few cards, I feel, how things are shifting now. Yeah, there's a time of change that's definitely coming through, but we need to know how to work with these energies, because actually they feel like brand new ways of facing the world, or brand new ways of working in the world. Let's see what wants to come through. Yeah. Ace of Bows, Spark of Life. So look at this here. Check this out. We've got the Two of Arrows card. She's crossed by the arrows. She's also standing on this bow. So this bow is ineffective. You can't use a bow while you're standing on it, right? Whereas in this card, this bow has been released. It's been unleashed. It can now be utilized to actually ignite something new. It's actually being used in this card to start a fire. So the way that you would twist a stick, like turn a stick to create friction, to create a fire. Well, if we look at this arrow, that's what it's doing here, and it's pointing downwards. I've got this sense of us connecting in with our sacral energy in ways that we never have before. So something's being released, unleashed. This is the Spark of Life card. So it's the ace, it's the beginning, it's the initiation, it's the inception. It's something that we're going to be getting to grips with. This is just the beginning. Something in our lives has been causing friction, but this friction has turned out to be a good thing after all. Maybe it's the thing that held us back. Maybe it's the thing that blocked us. And that's exactly what we needed to learn about in this lifetime. Maybe, we wouldn't have got to where we are right now in terms of our wisdom and our strength and our capacity to deal with things if we hadn't have had this initial friction here. So all of this friction over time is actually now paying off. It's adding up to us having a new, fresh start as we move forwards. I'm also noticing as well, as with most bows back in the day, this is a bow made from yew wood, so Y-E-W, the yew tree. And most often actually long bows were made from yew wood, which is actually something my father has done, created a long bow from yew wood. There's something about drawing the bow back, drawing back to these experiences that we've had, the experiences that have shaped us into who we are today, gathering all of that energy. If you think about drawing a bow back and the tension, and then we're getting to the point where we can release that tension. We're getting to the point where we can release ourselves, actually. Look at this card, how we're crossed, held back, stifled, the bow is being stepped on here, nothing can happen, nothing effectual can happen in this posture. It's very closed, it's very crossed, it's very closed off. Now we can begin to unleash ourselves, that's a good word, unleash ourselves. So some part of us can be unleashed. The leash is taken off, removed, released from bondage in some way, releasing ourselves from the ways that we've been held back. And maybe, we've been holding ourselves back for a long time out of beliefs that we couldn't do a particular thing. We couldn't do it then, so we probably can't do it now, those kinds of things. But they're not conscious, they're subconscious. But lately these things have been coming to the surface for us to look at and ask, is this actually true anymore? What if that wasn't true? What could I actually achieve in my life now that I'm more wise, now that I have more confidence, now that I've got to know myself better? So let's go to the Tarot of the Hidden Realm. I'm looking a bit pink. It's because it's very warm in this room. Looking forward to getting a breeze on me after. A little bit stifling in here. So, next card. Yeah, Seven of Pentacles. Something wants to be birthed sometime soon. This is that inception that I was talking about, the fresh start. And there's something that we're holding on to for now. I feel like there are certain things that we know we want to create. There are certain things that we know we want to bring out into the world, but we're also aware that we do need to have patience because these things aren't going to happen overnight. And maybe in the past we've been very impatient and we've moved forward too quickly with a certain thing and it wasn't ready yet. And so it was ineffectual. That word keeps coming through, ineffectual. And so it just didn't work. Well, it didn't work properly because we weren't ready yet. Maybe if you take, for example, a project that we didn't have all the resources for, but we tried to do it anyway, it's not really going to work if you don't have everything you need and you don't have the right people to support you. But when you come to a certain point where you do have the support, and this could just be our inner support of ourselves, when we do have the things that we need, when we do have the resources and maybe outer support from the right people, when we get to that point, we can absolutely create these things, we can absolutely do these things. And I just had the word disparate parts, so I feel like in the past there have been parts of us, aspects of us that are like clashing and fighting. I'm thinking about like the Five of Wands, for example, in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. They're like boys kind of fighting with each other and testing each other's strength. I feel like that's what's been happening inside of us, and that's what's created this friction over time for us to actually initiate whatever this is. And it doesn't have to be just one thing either. It could be a total overhaul. We might decide to change the work that we do. We might decide to shift around our relationships in our lives. We might decide to dress differently. We might decide to change our hair. We might, it could be lots of different things. Feels like there's an abundance of things that we could change at the moment. And that's good, because it means that we're not stuck in old beliefs and old patterns about ourselves. But I would say some time for reflection and just taking a pause and being patient would be very good at this time as well. Because we need to know that the action that we take is coming from inspiration and not just from boredom, for example. It needs to be coming from a heart space, not from a fear space. Yeah, interesting. We'll get some more information around that. What do we need in order to stay in balance? What do we need in order to stay true to ourselves? What would help? The Hermit. The Hermit would help. Yeah, it would. Time to ourselves. As I said, having like patience, maybe going within, taking our time, making sure we're doing things for the right reasons, making sure that these are our real needs and desires, and just checking in with that. The only way that we can effectually, again, that word's coming through, to be effective in knowing what we want to do, the only way that we can do that is to turn to ourselves, to turn inwards. There are many people in our lives that could tell us what we want, what we need, what we should do, but only we know in our hearts what it is that we truly want and what we want to experience and what we need. And so in order to hear those messages, we need to be able to go within. I know the Hermit came out recently in another reading. I was talking about going into the cave here, into the crack in this rock. We need to retreat, listen in, check in with ourselves, taking away all distractions, and then come back out again. And then maybe we can take a step, and maybe we can retreat again, and we can check in and see how we feel about that. You know, how is this working out for me? What do I need to do next? When we go into hermit mode, we enter a quiet mode, so we can hear ourselves, we can hear our guides, we can hear our ancestors, and then we get messages for the next step. So I got this sense that we might not see the whole path ahead at the moment. We've got an idea of it, but there are stepping stones, and each time we take a step, we can pause, listen in, and then another step will appear, we take that step. So we're not necessarily going to know what the whole big picture is right now. We'll get a sense of it, but I'm not feeling that we really know how good this can be. That's what's coming through. We don't necessarily know how amazing this can be now that a lot of blocks are being released. So let's get a final card from the Mystical Shaman Oracle, which is one of my favourite decks at the moment. I've had it for quite a few years, but it's just come around again for me to work with it, and it's a beautiful deck. Let's see what we've got. Where are we? A final message of support as we move forwards. The circle. Yeah. Number 8, we've come full circle. I think this card came out recently as well. Seem to remember it coming out a few readings ago. We've come full circle, and we've come full circle as a new person. We've come full circle with the wisdom that we've gained moving around this circle. And these hands here are actually helping hands from spirit that have already been helping us around this circle. They're also helping hands from people around us. As I said, we could have outer supports as well as inner supports, as well as etheric spiritual support. We could have physical human being support around us. So don't be afraid to reach out. I just had this message come through then, a bit random. It's about, if you've ever watched Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, one of the lifelines that people can use when they're playing, if they get stuck on a question, is that they can phone a friend. And I just had this feeling that we each know which of our friends is good at a particular thing, which one would be great at answering a particular question, for example, which one would be the one to turn to when we're facing a particular issue. And so as a practical example, say we're starting up a business, right, and we've never done it before. But we know someone who's self-employed, one of our best friends, and they've been self-employed for a while. And so we turn to them and we ask for some advice or, some suggestions moving forwards. Or we've never painted before. And so we know a friend who's been painting for quite a few years, and we want to ask, what kind of equipment do you use? What kind of canvases do you use? What paints do you use? And so we will each have people in our lives that we can turn to for particular things. So as we're going to be initiating these new things in our lives, as we are stepping away from being blocking ourselves, as we're releasing aspects of ourselves to be more creative and expressive with a spark of life, for them to begin new things, to really take off and actually, potentially be very successful as well. I'm seeing big things in the future, but as I said, step by step. As we're doing those things, we've got people we can turn to. And not only that, like I said, we've got ancestors we can turn to. They're always there. You just have to ask. There could be many guides that we could turn to. But we've come a long way around this circle. And again, I think I mentioned this last time. I did mention this last time this card came out. This infinity symbol. And we've been, coming back around and around to the same thing. And lately we might have thought, oh, I thought I'd healed that. Why has it come back? Because there's another layer. And actually this layer is essential. It's essential to face this layer, to see this layer, and to shed another skin in order to be who we truly are moving forwards. And it'll happen again, because it always does. But we will focus on this for now, one thing at a time, one step at a time. Beautiful message. I really enjoyed this one. If you enjoyed this reading, then feel free to hit the like button. You can also book personal readings with me, private readings, using the link in the description box below. And you can also donate if you feel to through my PayPal link there as well. So thank you all for being here. I look forward to reading for you again. Take good care of yourselves, and much love to you all. Bye bye.